What's up, my juice lovers? Welcome to the first ever episode of the Cold Pressed Truth Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Wetlaufer, and this is a new podcast where I will be interviewing juice entrepreneurs, or as I call them, juicepreneurs, and other professionals in the juicing industry. The first episode, I took my podcast setup out to Las Vegas, and we set up in the dining room of my good friend Ari Sexner, who is a chef by trade, got into juice a few years ago, and is the full-time juice business consultant for Good Nature. Ari's an awesome guy, super passionate about cooking and food and juice and, recipe creation. He's really big into creating unique stuff. Like, he's one of those experimenting chefs that's always trying to come up with the next cool thing, and it's just awesome that he's focusing all that energy on juice now. We talk a little bit about that in this episode. We talk about dealing with the health department, coming up with a HACCP plan and training your staff to, how you can make sure that they're running a clean kitchen that's up to health standards. And he's an author now, so we talk about his new book, The Juicing Companion. What else we talk about? We talk about a lot. The interview's over an hour. It's like an hour and 20 minutes, I think. Anyway, can't say enough good stuff about Ari. And if you are interested in continuing the discussion on anything that we talk about in this interview, I will be starting a new topic for this episode on our online community forums. If you haven't been over there yet, it's community.goodnature.com. Check it out. If you want to be part of the discussion, it's super easy to sign up. You can use your Facebook account or Google account, or just make a new account with your email. And I created the forums a few weeks ago to give us all a place to stay connected. So far, it's been pretty good. There's been some activity over there. Lots of people from all over the world are on the forums and asking good questions and giving each other advice. So if you want to be part of the community, go check that out, community.goodnature.com. This podcast is brought to you by Good Nature, which is my family company. My father started the company in 1976, building apple cider presses for our neighbors in upstate New York, technically Western New York. And since then, Good Nature's really grown with the industry. We still manufacture everything in Buffalo, New York, and we now ship to over 70 countries worldwide. And it's still 100% family owned. My brother Eric and myself run the company. My sister Paige is still involved. And between the four of us, my brother, my sister, myself, and my dad, we all each own 25%. Like, it's 100% family owned. And it feels that way. I think if you own a juice company, you should use Good Nature equipment. Not only because I truly believe it does make the best tasting and most nutritious juice that you can make, but also because when you do business with our company, I'm proud to say I really do think it's an awesome experience. Eric and I work really hard at making Good Nature an awesome company to do business with. Like, we're always constantly thinking about it and talking about how can we make this company a better company, and how can we make it even easier to do business with us. So, we're not perfect. We make mistakes, but I think when we do make a mistake, we really work hard at making it up to the customer. And if you talk to anyone that's ever had a problem with our equipment, I believe that they will tell you that we made it up to them, and they're still a happy customer. So that's all I want to say about that. The website is goodnature.com. Come check us out if you haven't yet. All right. Anyway, let's get into the interview. Here we go. And we're live. Ari, how's it going?
It's going good. How about yourself?
Good. Excited we can do this. So let's get right into it. You recently just came out with a book.
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Juicing Companion.
Mm-hmm.
So as my last position over as a chef, a lot of times we use a lot of different resources for inspiration on creating different types of menus. And one of the best resources that we used to use is a book called The Flavor Bible. And what it is basically it lists all different types of produce and lists the ingredients that might go with it to start inspiration on starting a new recipe. But what we kind of found out is a lot of the flavors change when you actually juice a type of produce. So I wanted to definitely go out and create one, like a version of it that is specific for kind of juice. And there's a lot of other key factors that go into it when you're creating juice recipes, such as seasonality. So we wanted to add a seasonality chart, as well as the health benefits are really crucial on that. So one of our main goals was to list if the produce is a good resource on some of the certain vitamins. So we wanted to make that readily available as well. And what we put together is kind of an idea book, is what we call it, instead of a cookbook. So it's got your standard recipes in it to jumpstart the creativity, but it's definitely a great resource, I feel, to branch off and create new recipes on your own based off what region you're in, your seasonality, what season you're in, or whatever you have readily available in the kitchen.
About like regionality and stuff. If someone were to come to you and say that they want you to help them with like a custom juice menu, what are kind of the first things you look at when coming up with a new set of recipes for somebody?
Well, definitely their area is really important. One of the biggest things that could set your juice bar apart is what produce you're known for in that region. So say like you're in the New York area, they got the best apples in the world. They're in Washington. So you definitely want to feature some of the produce that's readily available in the area. From there, you definitely have to consider your demographic, the area that you're in, if they're really health conscious or if they're kind of new to juice, and really just developing that range of flavors from the sweet fruit based juices to the hardcore healthy green vegetable based juices with no sugar, and have that range so that everyone can come in at their level that they're comfortable with and be able to progress through that as they go.
So how would you be able to look and tell if a certain region is, maybe more open to like the healthier stuff?
It's I really look at, say, like there's a college nearby that might be more familiar. The younger generation, it definitely seems they're more health conscious. Definitely about the yoga studios is a good sign. Gyms and stuff like that, and kind of see if there are juice bars in the area already, because you might be the first one in an area. So you might have a little uphill battle to start with because people in general aren't really that familiar with fresh cold pressed juice or fresh juice in general. They're used to a lot of the other stuff that might be processed a little bit more.
Mhm.
So
Remember we talked about the juicing spectrum? There's like on one end, there's the super healthy, the other end, there's like the super sweet. But then it's kind of the area in the middle where you need to focus, right? And that's where the creativity comes in.
yeah, that's definitely where the demographic comes back in. That's where you want to focus the middle area, the middle range of juices on your area. So if they are pretty new to juice, you might want to focus a little bit more on the sweeter stuff and kind of have more gradual steps up. If they're really familiar with juice, then go all out and have tons of different green vegetable based flavors. So
Like how much, I guess I'm wondering how much can that vary? Like when you say someone's in a really healthy area, how much will that change the menu?
I'd say it would change quite a bit. Well, my biggest thing too is you don't jump in and have a huge menu to start with. The best thing you can do is have kind of your base menu open up and see what the clientele is kind of gravitating towards. And then from there, you just build from there. You don't have to really go all in about what the demographics are going to be in your area. So, say you open up with 8 different juices and the green juices are selling like crazy. go ahead and expand on that area so you could build from there. But the important thing is don't go too crazy in the beginning because you only have one shot for your impression on the general public.
So do you think 8 is like a good starting point?
Yeah, 8 to 12, I think. And really, I mean, when you introduce new juices, that's where you can be pretty crazy with the seasonality. Definitely with some seasonal
Right.
blends.
Yeah. I always thought a good plan would be to maybe start with the 8 or 10 recipes and then have like some seasonal or some experimental ones that you're just cycling through
hmm
and then seeing what people like and maybe picking 1 or 2 of those and adding them on as like permanent.
Yeah, you'll find out pretty quickly which one are your base juices, you could say, because you never want to change those. You want to have consistent products in there, stuff that's not really seasonal that goes in and out with the seasons, but solid produce. Like carrots, kale, maybe some really, maybe a little bit more basic.
Mm-hmm.
But you definitely want to have those staples because there's certain people that will want that pretty much every week, and you want them to be able to trust that you'll have it there. So,
Right. Yeah, and I guess that's kind of tricky. I don't know. It seems like these days everyone's so used to like the mass produced, like processed foods that they want what they want now, right?
yeah, I mean, that too, especially like, we've done a lot, especially this last couple of years with grocery stores. And
Right.
that's kind of an awesome area to be in because a lot of people there that are just grocery shopping, everyone grocery shops. You might
Mm-hmm.
catch a lot of people that might not seek out or go to a juice bar, and the sampling is huge there because you're just catching someone that's going there to buy like a turkey or something and you give them a sample of a fresh cold pressed juice and they're a little
They're like, I
wary.
won't like this.
Yeah,
And then they taste it like, oh.
they're like, I don't like vegetables.
Yeah.
And they try it. And honestly, like just from being there and seeing like the sampling that goes on, I'd say the success rate is like 50%. Like 50% of the people that try it
Mhm.
actually go ahead and buy a bottle of juice. I don't know if it's kind of a respect thing they feel guilty.
Well, I mean, that's why they put those sampling tables out there. I mean, it really helps sell stuff, you know. But I think it seems like in general, grocery stores, like even when they decide they're going to do juice, they're like a little afraid to really go for it.
Yeah. And the biggest thing with that, I think, is the shelf life.
Right.
That's the biggest issue is they want product that might not be as perishable as something that's like 30-day shelf life, but a lot of people are in the grocery store industry are kind of realizing it. Even like the hotel and the hotel industry, a lot of them find out that when they offer juice, people kind of seek it out.
Right.
And a lot of people we've talked to in the grocery store too, they kind of realize that it's more of a bringing people in type product.
Mm-hmm.
Like people like grabbing some juice and doing their shopping and stuff. So
Yeah, they call that the perimeter of the store, right? Usually,
yeah,
because all the like packaged, because the CPGs, consumer packaged goods, are all in the middle, and then they have the prepared food on the outside.
hmm
But then in places like Whole Foods and now a lot of the other brands, that's starting to become a huge part of the store.
hmm
Like, what is that? Mariano's in Chicago.
yeah, they got a great juice program.
Yeah, good juice program, good prepared foods. You know, they do the fresh sushi and what else do they do? I remember seeing. Do they have like a ramen station or something?
Yeah,
Or like
they have a poke bar, a barbecue
yeah,
place.
poke bar. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, and even there, like they're just not talking about grocery stores all day, but like they have product placement areas too, where one of them was having an issue not getting the juice off the shelves quick enough. So they have kind of a prepared meal section, and basically they would have their juices in like the produce department for about 2 days. With a 4-day shelf life, they would put on the final 2 days, they would put it to the prepared food area and would just fly off the shelf there, just because it was in a certain area. A lot about location in the grocery stores is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem that we've seen is that it's just such a different thing, right? For a
Mhm.
grocery store. to
Yeah.
go from, I mean, if you're one of the more what we consider traditional now, that's just selling all the packaged goods, and then you decide you're going to get into doing juice, and they just kind of want to like put it on a shelf like it's a regular product. It doesn't always sell that well.
Yeah, it's crazy, but it makes sense for a lot of them because I mean it helps reduce waste by so much,
Mm.
and people might think that juice might be a little wasteful, but if you're doing it properly, and utilizing as much product as you can, I mean there's nothing better to it. I mean, you're just saving so much profit. With the grocery stores too, they have to have the perfect shaped apples, the perfect shaped pears, and
Yeah.
everything has to be exact. Where juicing, it doesn't matter.
It drives me crazy to think about how much produce is wasted just because it doesn't like look perfect, you know? But then I realize I'm guilty of that as well. Like I'll go into a grocery store, and if you're staring at like a huge, shelf full of organic bell peppers or something, I realize I do grab the ones that look
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, and it's weird. Like the more unnatural shape it is, probably the better it is because it's more organic.
Yeah,
Because
right.
organic produce is pretty crazy too. Like it has a much shorter shelf life, but the flavor is so much better
Yeah.
sometimes.
I also realize I don't know, like in California, the produce just tastes so much better. Like when I'm out in Santa Monica or LA or something. I think it's because it's on the shelf pretty quick after it's been picked.
Yeah,
Where like in Buffalo, it comes on a truck from like 2 states over or something. And by the time you
yeah,
get it, it's been like 5 days or a week or something. So they have to pick it when it's super like unripe.
yeah.
So they're not getting all those flavors in it.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The purveyors have to store, they have to be so organized because they have so much produce going in and out, and that's where it goes from the farm to the purveyor, and then it's stationed there. And the warehouse sometimes is picked ahead of time. I remember there's this awesome strawberry company called Harry's Berries out of California. And I remember I got it from Santa Monica's Farmers Market the first time I tried it. And it was the sweetest strawberry I've ever had. And it's it's just that they pick it at the absolute ripest and it
That's
lasts
what I'm
probably
saying.
like
It's
two,
like,
3 days. And
I know, but it's so much better.
yeah.
Like when I was out in Tokyo,
Hmm.
my friend Nori that owns Sunshine Juice there, he took me
Yeah.
down to an organic farm where they buy a lot of their produce from.
Hmm.
And like we were just picking stuff out of the ground and just eating it. I was like, this is so good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
you
pretty
know,
crazy.
when you pick it when it's ripe, it's so much better than, I mean, you walk into grocery stores now and sometimes all of their bananas are still green.
Yeah. It's like you're trying it for the first time.
Yeah.
So,
It's really kind of mind blowing.
yeah. And especially like I remember going to the Thailand my first time as last year, and then you see all this produce you're kind of familiar with, looks familiar,
Right.
and it just tastes so
I
different.
know.
Like the pineapple. I've never had fruit that was probably too sweet, but the
I
pineapple,
I so my first time in Thailand, I was convinced that they were adding sugar to the pineapple.
yeah,
Like, cause it was the sliced stuff, like the vendors with the sliced fruit,
hmm,
and they put it on the sticks.
yeah,
And I was like, they're adding sugar to this. But then I watched them, they just cut it up and put it on the stick. I'm like, this is
yeah.
unbelievable.
It's so weird that they add salt to all their fruit a lot of times,
Yeah.
and it's just because the produce is so sweet. It kind of balances the flavor out a little.
Yeah. And the food is so spicy there too. I crave sweet stuff after I eat spicy food a lot, I
Hmm.
realize. Like
Yeah,
like in Thailand, if I eat like a spicy bowl or something,
yeah.
and then
It's pretty crazy how the weather's so hot there and everyone's eating such
oh,
spicy food. It's
it's like unbelievably spicy.
yeah.
Like even the locals, they'll be sitting there and you'll hear them go because it's like
Yeah.
so spicy.
The food probably tastes so much better because it's all they're forced into getting locally sourced product. I mean, because they don't have access to purveyors to distribute all over the place.
Yeah.
So
I was in Bali a
mhm.
couple summers ago in Ubud or Ubud, however you say it. I don't know. But and there's this little organic restaurant there, and they grow everything behind the restaurant. Like they
Oh,
have
wow.
this giant garden where you can walk around, you can see growing all the peppers and all the
Hmm.
fruit and just everything. And they're just picking it and cutting it up and cooking it for you. It's just this
That's
little
awesome.
cafe. It's like $4 for a meal or something.
Yeah, that takes so much planning.
Yeah.
Just be able to set a year's worth of menus and growing all your own produce. That's so impressive too.
I wonder though, like, don't you think the dishes probably just change a lot depending on what they have available in a place like that?
Yeah,
Or
I mean they
yeah.
got to have. I mean, because everything can't go perfectly. You can't control the weather that much, so they got to be able to improvise quite a bit.
Hmm.
Yeah. One of them, and a lot of them are really big into fermentation and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other topic, which is pretty cool. That like you take a produce that you know what it tastes like, and then you ferment it all these different ways with adding the salt and the sugar, maybe some spices, and then preserve it 6 months. It'll taste different. A year, it'll taste different. 2 years, tastes even different. So
I met someone at a trade show. It was at NRA that was into fermented foods. And he said something to me that kind of like, sometimes people say something kind of makes you see things completely differently.
mhm.
And I don't, he was talking about nutrition and fermented foods or something.
Yeah,
He basically made the point that people in like Scandinavia and cold areas would basically live on fermented food all winter,
yeah,
and they have long winters. And that kind of made me realize I'm like, he's onto something. So these
yeah.
fermented foods must, even though they've been sitting on a shelf for a while, they must still have a lot of what you need, you
Yeah,
know?
that'd be interesting to find out the nutritional analysis on how it is affected after like 6 months and a
Yeah,
year and stuff. I've always wanted to have one of those cellars with tons of mason jars
I
all over.
know. So you're a chef.
Yeah.
You went to chef school.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. So what's kind of your background in cooking and culinary?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy because directly from high school, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And I remember I graduated high school, and instead of enjoying the summer, I remember like a week after I moved to New York. I went to the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York. I've never been there before except moving out there. I didn't have enough money to go
So you
visit
you never been to
beforehand.
New York before you moved there?
No, I grew up in a small town right outside of Vegas, and it was pretty much a big culture shock. I mean, it was right outside. It wasn't in the city, but it was still pretty crazy to move from what I'm familiar with to just pack up my life and go to college for a couple of years. So
Wow. So what got you interested in cooking?
it was really my grandma was really big into cooking, and when I was younger, I used to always cook with her, uh, and not really knowing what I wanted to do after high school, and figure why not give it a shot, and pretty much bet everything I had on it, and just packed up
You're like,
and
I hope I
left.
like it.
Yeah, and it was kind of good because I didn't know anything going in, so I didn't have like bad habits, I guess,
Mm.
which was kind of good. And everything I learned was new to me, so I didn't really have a preconceived notion on how to do something. So
Do they teach creativity in cooking in schools, or more just like technical skills?
they do a little bit at the end, but a lot of it is setting you up to get out in the field.
Right.
Really setting you up not to be like an executive chef, but giving you the tools to be able to progress through the system, and not skip over being all the important jobs, being a dishwasher and being a cook and working all the different
Just
stations.
making sure you know all the skills you need, right? Because
Yeah.
I could imagine getting dropped into a kitchen somewhere and then they're like julienne, 5 pounds of carrots. You're like, what's julienne?
Yeah. Yeah. But it's pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of interesting concepts on it. Like, I have a lot of respect for a lot of the executive chefs that work their way up, without college.
Yeah.
It's definitely a little bit harder, uh, just because college, they give you a lot of techniques and tips on, especially like writing and math and culinary math, learning about food costs,
Mm.
Excel training, pretty much everything you think of, all different types of cuisines. So you're kind of get a little head start on whatever path you choose. you know, and it was pretty cool. They have a externship where it's like an internship, except it's like midway through the college, and basically you just find a job, you know, and you have homework assignments to do, but it's pretty much about like 3 to 4 months, you know, so you still have a little bit of time to turn back if it's something that you actually hate being in a restaurant. But
that's like in the Amish culture, how they let them take like a year off or something and go out into the real world
yeah,
and then come back.
yeah, it could be just like that.
I don't think they all come back, but
yeah, a lot of them don't come back too from the externships too, because I mean
dude, kitchens are tough.
Yeah,
Like I've worked in kitchens before. Actually my first job was washing dishes in a Greek restaurant, and the like overnight shift, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
yeah,
During high school, on the weekends, I would work. I'd go from like waking up at 6:30 in the morning to go to high school and playing on lacrosse and everything, to like immediately completely reversing my schedule on the weekends.
yeah.
I don't know why my parents let me do that.
It's pretty crazy.
But I did that, and then I worked in a pizza shop for a while making pizzas. And then I took some culinary classes in school because I went to UNLV for hospitality management.
Okay.
And I liked making food, and I do like to cook and everything, but I don't really like working in a kitchen.
Yeah.
It's a little high stress for me. It's hot, and it kind of like stuff splashes on you and you get wet, and there's like, I don't know, there's all these orders coming in, and there's mistakes, and
yeah, it's weird. It's either you love it or you hate it, you know, and if you don't like it, you shouldn't be in the industry, because I mean it's all hard work in the beginning, you know. That's the beauty of being when starting out in a restaurant and working your way up, is because you get so much respect for how hard everyone works in the restaurant, you know. Like the dishwashers are the most crucial people in the entire place a lot of times.
Yeah, I could imagine a good dishwasher could probably get a decent job.
Yeah, you never know how much they do until they actually call out. So
God, I remember the servers were so mean to the dishwashers at the Greek restaurant.
Yeah.
You know, it was like my first week, and like one of the ladies was just like, "It'd be nice if I had some fucking forks up here," you know.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like that if they start out being a dishwasher and work their way up to being a server. So it's good building that foundation.
Yeah. So then you got out of chef school.
Yeah.
And then what was your first real world job?
Well, it was kind of nice because during my externship, actually, I talked to one of my mentors in college, and I had a big decision on finding out, like, should I do my externship for experience, or what should I do? And his advice to me was pretty much go someplace that's going to pay you. You know, don't worry about doing an externship for free just for experience. You're going to get that later on. Because I mean, I really didn't have the money to do a free externship somewhere. So I got lucky, and I actually went back to Vegas, and I had a position over at Prime Steakhouse at the Bellagio.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it was awesome place. It was like really before that. I mean, I had to go to college. You have to have prerequisite of working like 1,000 hours in a restaurant
before you went to college.
Yeah, and I didn't really have any experience. It might have been a little less. It might have been 500, but you had to have that. And I didn't really have that much time. I was really busy having separate jobs. So I volunteered at Senior Citizen Center. So that was my first job, was really at like
oh man,
Prime at a fine dining steakhouse, and it was amazing.
Wait, were you making food at the Senior Citizen Center?
Yeah.
What were you making? Just big pots of spaghetti and stuff?
Oh, it's crazy. Like it's funny. I mean, it's really, they want everything exactly the same. You know, like I remember one time we ran low on raisins for like a carrot raisin salad.
Oh no.
Oh, there was big problems there.
Yeah, I bet.
Everyone was complaining about that. But after that, I mean, I was able to go back to Vegas after I finished up college, and I worked at Nine Steakhouse at the Palms.
Yeah.
And
is that place still open?
No, they just changed over. I believe it's called Scotch 80 Prime.
Okay.
Same chef. They just kind of revamped the whole place. Looks pretty amazing. But that was kind of my whole thing. I really wanted to work in steakhouses, and my goal was to be an executive chef one day of a steakhouse, fine dining steakhouse there.
And then how'd you end up back at the Bellagio?
I ended up working my way over there. The Wynn was opening up at the time, and I was able to get a position over there at the steakhouse. It was called it used to be called the Country Club Steakhouse.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty crazy atmosphere there because they have SW, which is the larger steakhouse they have there. And originally, I believe it was built on the golf course, the steakhouse, and it was originally just going to be hamburgers and hot dogs for the golfers. And they decided to actually have it as an upscale steakhouse. So it was really tight quarters, but it was awesome. I was part of the opening team for the Wynn, and that's pretty crazy. Opening a casino, it's like,
oh, you were part of the opening when they opened the whole property.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine. I think some people don't realize the scale of things in Vegas and like the hospitality and restaurants and everything. I think like what would you say is a normal size hotel in like New York, like 300 rooms or something?
yeah.
Then in Vegas you have the MGM is 5,000 rooms.
Yeah.
5,000 rooms. Wynn and Encore, those two properties together are 5,000 rooms. Venetian and what's their sister property?
Palazzo
are 5,000 rooms. I mean, there are so many people staying in hotels and resorts here eating every day. And like those kitchens, how many meals are going out is unbelievable.
Yeah, and even the banquet space is huge too. It's so impressive.
Yeah, like I'm so glad there's actually quite a bit of juice available now in Vegas.
Yeah, it's definitely getting more and more popular, but it's always been around a little bit, but it's definitely people are realizing it's the same thing. It goes back to like the grocery stores. I mean, they offer it in hotels, and it's definitely a good amenity, and it brings people in. So, I mean, offering a 16-ounce bottle of juice to actually have someone stay at your hotel is huge.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. I think my favorite juice on the Strip is the Juice Standard. They've been around for forever. Marcella and Jamie, right? When did they open their place in Summerlin? That must have been 2012, I think.
Yeah, I believe it was somewhere around there.
And
they have really good cocktails over there.
Oh, at the Cosmo? Yeah, at their new place. Yeah, so then the Bellagio decided they wanted to do a juice program, right?
Yeah.
And they kind of put it on you to make that happen?
Yeah. So after I was at the Wynn for a bit, I moved over to Bellagio and, working at opening restaurants there. And the cool thing about a casino is you get to float around a lot, So, I mean, if you're getting kind of burned out working in one restaurant, it's easy to just transfer over to a different restaurant. So my last position there was the Garde Manger executive chef. And they kind of did all the cold production for the casino. But
so that's salads, dressings, sandwiches and stuff too?
Oh, it was a lot of stuff. A lot of the restaurants, if they didn't want to do something, that was we would pick it up and we would make it for them on a massive scale. I mean, we had around 40 employees and 3 chefs, even a sushi chef. We were in charge of the sushi department there, but we would do cold production for everything. I mean, every restaurant we would produce stuff for.
And how many restaurants are in the property?
I believe about 14.
There's 14 restaurants there?
A lot. And that's not even including all the bars.
That's what I'm talking about. Like even me, someone that lived in Vegas for a while, I still, when you say there's 14 restaurants in the Bellagio, like it still blows my mind, like the scale of things here is crazy.
It's something I like, I grew up in it. So it's kind of like, it's not surprising me. It's kind of like, I didn't know there's something different out there, but
Yeah.
it's pretty cool.
So the executives, Bellagio, were into juice, right?
Yeah, I guess they were really advocate of, like, they love juice. So that was something they definitely wanted. And from the beginning, they just said, okay, we
And this
want,
was 2014, 2013?
yeah, 2013.
Yeah.
And they just said from the beginning, they're like, we want a cold pressed, we want it raw, and we want it certified organic. That was the only thing they wanted. And they're like,
You're like, done.
just make it happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, I have no idea what any of this is, but let's, I have no choice, it's about making it happen, so that's what got me into the juicing world.
So then, I mean, you had to not only come up with the recipes,
Mhm.
but you also had to go through the whole organic certification process. What
Yeah.
was that like?
Well, here in Vegas, the health department's pretty strict. I'm sure a lot of the major cities, they have pretty strict health departments too. But that was kind of the thing, is we had to get them on board uh, with the Department of Agriculture, which actually certify us to being organic as well. So they didn't getting them to agree on everything was the biggest challenge, I'd say, out of everything. But uh, it was definitely worth it. I mean, we learned a lot, and you get a lot of pride out of your product just because the amount of work you put into it. But
So what is the process like of going through the certification?
well, first of all, is there's a kind of a large application you need to fill out, and you got to work a lot with your purveyors. You got to have exactly. You just can't buy organic product and just put it into your juice. There's a lot of stuff you have to put to it, like every chemical that you actually use, you have to make sure it's certified organic. Your processing, you make sure you clean it properly, you have the proper test strips. You got to make sure uh, there's no residual cleaner left on, so you got to do like a low level test strip. And you got to have a really great tracking system, so whenever you get audited or inspected for your organic certification, you got to make sure where, like, these carrots are from 6 months ago, like what farm they came from. So you have to work a lot with your purveyor as well. There's a lot of documentation you have to have with that. But
Mm.
Mm.
So you got to fill out the application, and then they come down and inspect everything, or
yeah, you'll have an auditor that'll come down. I'm pretty sure it's the same for everyone, but we had an auditor, and they pretty much walk with you, where you receive the produce, and walk with you the entire day, and kind of just take notes on everything, just so that they can have enough information to sit down at the end and make sure that everything's adding up correctly. They need to find your recipes, see how much, for example, of beets, how much beets go into one portion of recipe. And then you got to pull up your sales, see how much you're selling of that product. And they got to see how much you're ordering to make sure the amounts are there.
because they're afraid that you might be claiming it's organic, but you're using some conventional.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, if you're getting a lot less produce than you actually should, then that's
Mm.
when some red flags happen. So then they'll investigate further. We got approved by the Department of Agriculture the first year, and then they actually shut that down at the end of the year. So we were kind of worried that we had to reapply.
Through the
Uh,
USDA.
so they
Wait,
wanted,
no, that is the Department of Agriculture.
yeah,
right?
the Department of Ag, they wanted us to go through an organic certifier. So
Like CCOF or something.
yeah, and actually CCOF was the one that we found out would take our old application because it's so lengthy.
Oh yeah.
We kind of asked all these organic certifiers if they would take our old application and just use that for the new application. And
They're like, no.
yeah, CCOF was like, yeah. So we were like, all right, good to go.
Nice.
Yeah, but they've been really good to work with, and readily available for answering any questions we've had. So
hmm
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember taking a tour. You took me on a tour of the kitchen, Bellagio,
Mhm.
which blew my mind, and then the little juicing production area you had, which is really nice. I remember you first of all, it was really clean. Everything was really clean.
Yeah, I mean, juices. You got to be extremely clean and sanitary with that because there's no kill step. You know,
Right.
it's just the only preventative measures are really just washing the produce and handling it properly. So
So if you are using good produce, clean produce, you're being careful about contamination and everything, how dangerous do you think raw juice actually is?
I it really, I mean, a lot of the focus that I've seen from a lot of health departments is they're pretty worried about it being stored in a reduced oxygen packaging. They call it ROP.
Right.
Just the fact that it's in that bottle, that they feel that pathogens can grow. Uh, Maybe it's just more rapidly than being an ambient or
But the pathogens have to be in there first, though.
yeah. And the thing too is I talked to I went to I get HACCP certified once every couple of years. I went to Cornell University last year and I actually talked to the instructor about it. He's actually the one that trains a lot of the inspectors on the USDA that inspect like milk packaging and all these kind of large factories. And really, I mean, I hate to say that it's not really that dangerous, but he pretty much was telling me that anything below 3.5 or 3.8 on the pH scale,
Mhm.
it's so acidic. It's extremely difficult to have a pathogen actually survive that environment.
Yeah. And still, the pathogen would have to be in there from dirty produce, right? Basically.
Yeah.
Like, I know the whole issue where the FDA made the law about you have to pasteurize raw juice
Hmm.
for wholesale was in like 96.
Yeah.
I think it was a Dwala. Might be wrong about that. But they were selling raw juice and a girl got sick from E. coli, went to the hospital. They sent her home and she died later. And then the FDA came on like national television, like nobody can drink raw juice ever,
Yeah.
like it's toxic, it'll kill you. But then if you actually look back at the details of what happened there was now I haven't read this in a while, so I might have some details confused, but they had like a quality inspector or someone working in the factory that recommended they reject these apples from the farm
Hmm.
because they're rotten and they're dirty and but they used them anyway,
Yeah.
and then there was E. coli in a bunch of juice.
Hmm.
But still though, they're starting with a bad product. They're starting with E. coli infested apples.
Yeah.
And it's like, we just had this big romaine uh recall. Is that what you call it? Do you call it a recall?
Yeah.
And the FDA doesn't come out and say nobody ever eat raw salad again. They just say don't eat romaine right now.
Yeah.
Like why can't they just handle juice the same way?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty. They're just relying on a lot more sources to have that information available and that they're acting on it. I think they're a little more overcautious because I think in general it really caught them off guard. Like back in the day when they had that E. coli outbreak, I think in like 93 or 94, and then they had some salmonella outbreaks in chicken and they weren't really expecting E. coli to end up in produce. They
Mm.
weren't really expecting that at all. And when it happened, they kind of like, okay, maybe we got to buckle down on this a little bit more. And I think it's just the more familiar they are with it, the easier they'll be on it and be a little less strict.
Yeah. I mean, I think I don't know. I drink raw juice daily.
Yeah.
I make it and I drink it or I'll buy raw juice from a local juice place. I've never gotten sick to my knowledge from raw juice. I've been drinking
Hmm.
raw juice for, 10 years or more. Um they don't even have these laws in Canada and Australia in almost every other country on the planet, except I know Japan's pretty strict. And I haven't heard of people dying from it. It can't be more dangerous, in my opinion, than just, the risk of eating bad romaine or something.
Yeah. I mean, or anything not prepared properly,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If you're using clean produce, good produce, and you're being careful, and you're using like an antimicrobial wash, and
Yeah.
you're being careful of contamination, and you're cleaning your juice machine and your equipment properly, I just don't think we need this like government protection about raw juice.
Yeah. I mean, taking extra steps to make sure it's safe. And really, I see a lot of it too when I'm helping out people in a lot of different regions. It really seems like the major cities don't have that big of an issue with the health department. It's a lot of the smaller towns, that are maybe their first juice shop is actually opening up.
And
That's
they've
where a
never
lot
seen
of
it
challenges.
before. They don't know how to handle it. They start freaking out, right?
Yeah, and they're extremely over precautious because they don't want to be named in like an outbreak or something like that. I would talk to one place, I forgot exactly where it was, but they were telling the juice shop owner to actually heat pasteurize their juice. And the person said, "Oh, I can't afford that equipment." And the health department's like, "What are you talking about? Just get a pot." And telling them to bring it up to
cook their juice
120 degrees. And I was like, oh man, that's going to be a rough one, but they got to sort it out eventually.
Green juice is so bad after you heat it up too.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Remember we tried to steam some?
Yeah.
Were you there for that?
Yeah,
or not?
I was there.
Oh man, that was so bad.
Yeah. There's certain stuff though that tastes awesome hot.
Yeah.
Especially cider is a prime example of that.
Yeah. What was that recipe? Was it apple, lemon, ginger?
Yeah, and a little bit of orange.
A little bit
spices.
of orange. Heat it up on a espresso machine steamer.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the fruit. You got to be careful. Some fruit tastes good. It's all weird. You never know by not trying though. It might sound gross in the beginning, but I mean, you never know until you try it. It's about questioning everything and find out for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, on that topic, what kind of creative things have you seen, or maybe you've experimented with yourself with, using juicing or juice equipment that maybe most people that own juice bars may not have seen yet?
I mean, recently we started messing around a lot with dressings. It's definitely great to incorporate cold pressed juice into dressings, but it works for a lot of different applications, like incorporating it into smoothies and freezing it, making granitas out of it.
What's a granita?
It's just you're freezing a product and you're scraping it with a fork until it's kind of like an Italian ice, they call it too.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a difference.
Almost like shaved ice or something?
Yeah, kind of like that. And I mean, shaved ice is another example. I mean, I worked with developing a shaved ice program that was pretty solid, where it's like healthy version of shaved ice, no fake syrups and stuff, but cold pressed juice as a syrup.
Do you have to add sugar to it or anything? Or?
So in Hawaii, they have this stuff called primer, and what they just use is like simple syrup, put it on shaved ice, and then they put their syrup on top of that.
Okay.
So we kind of came up with a little bit sweeter cold pressed juice with a little bit of citrus and actually vanilla, and we use that as a primer. Put that on, and it was pretty cool. We had a bunch of different toppings, like untraditional shaved ice toppings, like goji berries, li hing, and powder, and all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
Yeah.
Wish I could have tasted that. You got to make some for me sometime.
Yeah, and then
they do it in the summer party, the Good Nature Party.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't go good in the winter out there. There's also like a Taiwan style shaved ice where they actually just freeze flavored ice and then they shave it.
I had that in LA recently. It's called like Blockhead or something. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It was okay. I think it had dairy in it.
Oh, okay.
Um, it was just okay, and the place was filthy that I went into.
Oh, that's
It was like we walk in, and I hear the lady in front of me. She's with her daughter or something, and she's like, "Oh, this place is so dirty." Then I look around, and there's just like sticky puddles of syrup everywhere, and like
oh.
they put like the mochi balls and stuff on for
Uh-huh.
toppings, just laying all over the place, and behind the counter, everything's filthy, and the guy like takes this rag
Hmm.
and like wipes up a spill with it, and then
Yeah.
uses the same rag to grab the block of ice and put it on the machine to shave the ice. I was like, "Oh
Oh, it's yeah, it's one way to lose a customer
my
real
god!"
quick. You got to be you even if your kitchen's not open. I mean, you got to be prepared at all times. I remember the biggest thing when you ever get inspected. I mean, it's they just show up and start rummaging through stuff. So I think the biggest thing is just have your kitchen always ready to be inspected.
Hmm.
There's no bigger sign than when a health inspector comes in and a lot of the cooks start scrambling around,
Yeah, right,
or when the health inspector comes in and everyone's just calm and keeps doing their job,
right.
that it's going to be a quick inspection no matter
Hmm.
what.
Yeah, and you don't want to end up on that list of the places that gets the low grades.
Yeah.
I read
Yeah.
through those lists before. They have like pictures of what was wrong in your restaurant and everything, and they post it on the internet.
Yeah. I mean, word on that goes pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a news station out here that as soon as they find out someone gets downgraded, they send their news team right out to the
Oh
restaurant
my
and start
god.
questioning
Like
the.
while it's happening.
Oh, I feel so bad for them, but
Oh yeah, that's bad. So if you're gonna open a juice bar or restaurant, and maybe you don't have a background in cooking and you don't know the rules about how to store things and clean things and
Mhm.
contamination and logbooks and everything, what would you do to make sure you're being safe?
the the most important overall concept is if you don't know something or it doesn't really make sense, find out the real reason why you're doing it. Because a lot of times people say, "Oh, I know to keep it below the temperature of product below 41 degrees." But if you find out the reason why, it helps out a lot.
Because
And
that makes sense in your head. It's like connecting the dots, right?
yeah, and then the more you dive into all the challenges that they might have for you, it makes more sense the deeper you dive into it. And the more comfortable you are, the easier it's going to be. Because you don't have to constantly flip through like a rule book or regulation book. It just it turns into common sense. After you study it so much and just keep researching. And finding out why the pathogens are growing in a certain environment, what products are good, what products are out there, and questioning everything. So
Would you recommend someone go take a course like a Serve Safe course or something?
yeah, definitely. I mean, that'll help out tremendously. It's even a lot of the health departments. I mean, their main job is they might seem like big and scary, but they want you to put out a safe product. They want the general public safe.
Mhm.
Be able to enjoy what you're serving. They're not out on a vendetta or anything. They just want to make sure you have a good product, and they're willing to help you. I've never come across a health inspector that was not willing to help someone.
Mm.
So I mean,
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I reached out a couple times. Someone just asked questions. They usually just answer the question. It's not like dealing with the normal government bureaucracy. It seems like.
yeah, the only time they might do that is if they're really busy
Mhm.
and they got someone coming up. I've come across that a couple times, but that was just kind of the case. Like that's someone in a different department. But I mean, really, every time I've sent an email to them, even the FDA, they've always gotten right back to me and been extremely helpful. They really want to educate the public.
How about HACCP plans? I know we get a lot of questions. People saying, "I need a HACCP plan." They don't really know what it is. Um, how would you explain a HACCP plan, and how would you go through the process of coming up with one?
So HACCP plan is hazard analysis critical control points. What you'll find out. pretty quickly when you're writing a HACCP plan is everything's abbreviated. They've got tons of
It's
abbreviations
all
for everything.
acronyms, right?
Yeah, it kind of frustrating in the beginning, but once you start writing a HACCP plan, it kind of makes sense and saves you quite a bit of time from abbreviating everything. But basically, it breaks down every step of the entire process from receiving the product to holding it at its final destination. And every step of the process is called a SSOP, Sanitation Standard Operating Procedure. And really, it wants to determine what the critical control point is. For example, cold hold or refrigerating a product. The critical control point is 41 degrees.
So the temperature.
Yeah, you want it below that. Sanitation step, it's a concentration of sanitation. And basically, it's most of the stuff you're already doing, but it's put into a document form. And for each step, it has who's responsible for it, what they're monitoring, what's the corrective action if something goes wrong, all the preventative measures. And there's a log for each step of the process. So, I mean, there's no way around it. And if you're doing it correctly, it actually helps out a lot. I've seen some places where they would have a HACCP plan implemented when they're not even required to do it. Just because it honestly, it helps.
Forces you to think about that, right?
Yeah. It also gives a more consistent product because you do the same steps over and over. There's no cutting steps and maybe even change the flavor of the product. So it's actually a good thing to have, even if it's not an approved plan, but it's if you're just doing it to have a consistent product, it works great as well.
How necessary is it to have someone on your staff full time that knows HACCP, or is it necessary if you're just, let's say you're a juice bar with like 2 or 3 employees?
Mm-hmm.
How important do you think it is that one of them be educated in that?
Yeah, it's extremely important.
So if they're not, you'd recommend one of them take that course or get the education?
Yeah, it's a requirement, especially if you are required to have a HACCP plan. So it's required to have a PIC, a person in charge. But
did they really have to shorten that one?
Yeah. But you actually get off in inspections, even on the local level, if you don't have someone that can't answer the questions, or a person in charge that is knowledgeable on actually processing juice, that's actually a couple of demerits. Mm-hmm. A lot of places will get marked off for that.
And how do demerits work?
It's different in every area. I've seen in Europe they have like a smiley face to a frowny face. So like you don't want a frowny face, gotcha. You don't want to eat there. but here in the States, a lot of times they'll have if you hit 10 demerits, you'll be downgraded to a B. Okay. C, anything below that is you're closed until you fix the issue. But there's different point levels depending on how severe the issue is. So I mean, if you don't have hot water, they'll usually just shut you down right away until you fix that. If it's something that severe, if it's something major, it might give you like 5 points. It's something about product out of temperature.
Like if you have warm chicken sitting on the counter or something.
Yeah, that might be borderline that might be shut down. but then it just keeps adding up. And there's here in Nevada or in Clark County, they have good practices one where if you're not doing the minor stuff and you keep getting dinged on that every inspection, then that'll actually boost it up to a major violation because you're not actually taking the steps to fix that minor issue. So
just more of like managing everything.
Yeah, and working clean. I mean, no bare hand contact with ready to eat food is really important. You just want to make sure everyone is all the employees are not sick. They're groomed and well kept. They have hair nets, and I remember the oldest trick in the book too is when you get health inspected. The health inspectors come in and they'll start asking for your food handler cards. You know, the oldest trick is they watch you put the card away. You know, they a lot of times they don't care if you have the card or not, but they really want to see if you wash your hands after you put your
Oh,
wallet away or your card away.
interesting.
Yeah, so many times people just will wash their hands with gloves on or something like that.
It's like one of those tricks. Is that just a myth, or for when they're grading the Michelin restaurants to like drop something and see
Yeah,
how long it takes you to pick it up?
yeah, I know they have tons of requirements on stuff like that. Uh, yeah, that's one of them. I think dropping the napkin on the ground and see how quickly they'll recover it for you and get you a new one. Yeah, there's all kinds of different.
I was listening to is it David Chang
Yeah.
that owns Momofuku?
Mhm.
He was saying how he he never thought Michelin stars were that important until he actually got one.
Yeah.
And then he
Yeah.
became totally obsessed with like getting another Michelin star.
Yeah. I mean, it takes people over a lot of times.
Yeah.
It takes over their life. Uh, yeah, I've heard that story a lot where people go from like get 1 star and then lose it. I bet it's pretty stressful. I mean, because working in a restaurant industry, your that's your life. You know, you kind of live in a restaurant pretty much, and
Right.
losing something like that, I could see how it'd be really stressful if you can't handle stress that well. So
You almost never want to get one. So then you don't have the stress of losing one.
yeah, yeah.
So what are when people come to you for juice consulting, what are the most common questions you'll get?
A lot of times, well, besides people asking how much it's going to cost for to open a juice bar,
Mm,
you know, that's probably the number one question.
what's the answer?
Depends on where you're at. You
I
know?
know. It's pretty much anywhere from like 100,000 to like 1 million. Seems like.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean you can make a lot work depending on your budget. You know, you just gotta have your solid concept, you know, and your core values, and then improvise on other aspects, you know, like certain equipment, it's extremely important to buy new because it's going to last you forever, but there's certain stuff like tables where you could buy used tables to
Mm.
kind of help out your budget, but it's
I
tough.
also noticed it seems like some first time business owners get so caught up in like the aesthetics of the place and how it looks and kind of ignore some of the other more important factors.
Yeah.
You know, like I know there's been many people who've come to us because they just remembered they need a juice machine.
Hmm.
They're opening a juice bar, and in like 2 weeks, they spent like $800,000 on fitting out the place. But then they think 25 grand is too much for a juice machine.
Yeah.
So there's cost of starting up. Would be another common
Oh,
question.
really? I mean, the menu development. Because what I've noticed a lot in a lot of juice bars is the people that are opening it. I'd say a good amount of them. Uh, they're new to the restaurant industry in general. A lot of times, it's juice has affected their life or some of their family members, and they want to pass on
Hmm.
this to a new to the public.
Yeah, they're inspired.
Yeah, so a lot of times it's people that are uh, maybe have backgrounds in different stuff and just new to the restaurant industry. So I definitely help out a lot of people with you know, their menus. It's crucial. You know, sanitation is a huge part, especially if you're not familiar with it.
Hmm.
You know, I definitely could point them in the right directions on uh, people that can help them or understanding what the health department's telling to them. So there's quite a bit.
Yeah, food and beverage is tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough business.
Scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's super competitive. And then not only that, but you're dealing with very perishable items. I mean, just imagine, compare a juice bar to a store that sells like shoes. You know, they buy shoes and they sell them. And if they don't sell them this week, they can sell them next week.
Yeah. I know you do too, but we have so much respect for people that, uh, there's so many easier ways to make money,
Yeah,
but
I know. And I feel like the food and beverage industry weeds out the people pretty quick that aren't really passionate about it.
mhm.
So I know when people ask me, what do you see in the successful juice companies? It's always someone super passionate about juice
Yeah,
because it's tough.
that carries you through
Yeah.
the really tough
I mean, if
parts.
you don't actually believe in juice and like the healing powers of it and everything, and it gets hard, you're just going to probably give up.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's an awesome thing that people want to help their communities out and, move the whole industry forward. It's crazy how far it's gone.
Hmm.
It's like 10 years ago, no one even, yeah, I know here in the States, like no one really cared about organic,
Right.
and now everyone knows about organic and trying to find locally sourced produce and really trying to have a healthier lifestyle.
What's this might be a weird question, but if you were going into a restaurant, would you prefer if you had to choose between organic or local, which one would you choose?
That's, I mean, that's tough. I really want to say organic, but I mean, locally sourced has a huge impact. I tell people all the time, like if you go into put yourself in a situation where you walk into a juice bar and it says organic, it's that has some weight behind it. They care about their product, they're going the extra step. But on the other hand, when you go into a place and it says, I get the carrots from this farm that's 2 miles away, and
Yeah.
it names the farm and where all their produce is from. That even has a big impact as well.
Yeah. I also think just like the term organic, I think the term local gets kind of thrown around a lot.
Yeah,
And sometimes they say local, but they mean, only one state away or something.
yeah. A lot of the terminology is
Is local
really
regulated, the
bad.
term?
Yeah, but it's really bad.
Is it?
Yeah, it's something like I got to know the exact numbers, but there's like it's like 500 miles or something.
Oh
It's
my
it's pretty
God.
crazy. That
I
goes
hate
with
that.
like the chickens. I remember that's the first one I found was the free range or cage free, and it could be in a cage, but just without a top. And they could be
Ugh,
considered cage free. There's so
really?
much terminology that's
See, it's so bad. I feel like these big lobbies just have so much power because they have so much money to spend. I mean,
yeah.
if you look at how much money big food and beverage spends on lobbies, it's millions of dollars a year per company.
hmm And the more you research, the scarier it
I
is.
know. I honestly, I don't even like buying food anymore, almost, because it's so, you just can't trust anything anymore.
Yeah, I love documentaries and those food
I can't
documentaries.
watch them anymore.
Yeah, there's that one Rotten on Netflix.
Yeah,
That
that
was
one's good. That was a good series.
yeah, peeled garlic. That was
Yeah.
that was the scariest one for me
I don't
because
remember that. What was the details of that one?
they like a lot of the peeled garlic is imported from China, I
China,
believe.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, and they have the prisoners peeling it
Ugh.
like all day, and a lot of them are. Don't want to spoil it for anyone if they want to watch it, but or they like lose their fingernails and
Oh, that's gross,
yeah,
man. It's really gross.
yeah.
Yeah. All this stuff is so screwed up. Like, I don't know if you saw recently though, China said they're gonna stop taking our recyclables.
No.
So it turns out when you put your bottles in the recycling bin, a truck comes and picks them up, drops them to like a sorting center. They get sorted in these big machines, go into another truck. That truck goes to the shipyard, loads the trailer on a ship, and sends it all the way to China.
Oh, geez.
And then China like melts the plastic down and do other stuff with it. But they have so much now they can't take anymore.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's tough. Yeah, I mean everything seems to be crumbling, but there's some positive out there. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. We shouldn't focus too much on the
I think
negative.
it's good that like in general, everyone's a lot more health conscious.
Yeah, I think it's really good that we're seeing the turnaround on processed foods. I mean, you see people that grew up on strictly processed foods and they just look so unhealthy, you know?
Yeah.
Like they just, the skin doesn't look good. They're kind of like hunched over because they don't get any exercise. And I mean, processed foods basically, they weren't even around till like 80, 85 years ago. And then between that time and now, the whole world switched entirely to processed foods almost. I mean, the Western world.
Yeah.
And now we're going back, which is awesome.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yeah. And I think juice is a big part of that.
Yeah.
Just,
I mean,
I don't know, just like squeezing the water out of fruit and vegetables, and just drinking that.
yeah, it's pretty crazy because it's a whole world that I was really unfamiliar with until I started that juice program. Because uh, me and the chefs that started it with me, uh, I told them, I was like, listen, we got to stop. We used to get cases of Red Bulls and
Oh,
drink
yeah.
those, working like long hours and stuff, and like, listen, we're gonna start drinking juice every single day.
Nice.
And honestly, it's something that I didn't think was going to happen, but we just started drinking juice, and all the chefs over there started drinking juice. It was pretty cool.
How did they feel compared to drinking Red Bull?
Oh, I don't know about them, but me personally, I mean, I wasn't familiar with juice at all, and I started off with a green juice. Like no sweetness at all. I just went all in, and I felt sick in the beginning because my body wasn't used to actually having something so healthy. I was used to
Yeah.
all the sugar and stuff. But then after not even a week, like I wanted it every day. It gave me a boost of energy, and when I try a Red Bull after it makes me feel sick.
Yeah.
I tried one right
Ugh.
after because I
Those
didn't have
energy
juice
drinks are
there.
so bad.
Yeah, and I can't do it anymore. So it's all about like moderation, and progressing through that. It's tough to just jump right in, but uh,
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's why I like talking to you because you got into juice through a different way. You got into juice because you're a chef, not because you had like a life-changing experience with juice or something.
yeah,
So it's just interesting your perspective and kind of your love for, the recipe development and
yeah.
the taste and creating new products.
Mhm.
Like, that's something we don't have enough of, I think, in the juice industry.
That's why I like talking to so many different people, because they're so gung ho about having like the most nutritious, like nutritional value product out there, but I'm kind of like the average person still, like sometimes it's about balance with that too. I mean,
Right.
sometimes you go in a juice bar and it's the first couple of times I went to a few of them, they were just too over the top with all the nutritional benefits, and it's so intimidating, and
Yeah.
it's more like a health food store. But the real thing is, like, I grew up in the hospitality industry. It's not like growing up in a restaurant, it's the hospitality industry. That's like one of the first chef mentors I had always taught me that it's really like bringing in people and treating them like their family. And that's really what I see a lot of the juice bars kind of going towards
Mhm.
now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But that's one of the big learning curves too, is not be so over the top. Welcome people, and get them have a welcoming environment. Because really you're treating them well, you're giving them a healthy product. But just
Yeah. You have to kind of make it approachable. Our
yeah,
our friend Annie Parks, she has some really good stuff to say on that at JuiceCon. About like you can't assume when someone walks in your juice bar that they know all the terminology and all the nutritional aspects and they're
yeah,
into yoga and holistic healing. You kind of have to gauge where they're at in the process.
yeah.
They may be someone that just decided that I need to be healthier, but they have never maybe read anything about juice or tasted it.
Hmm.
Kind of got to gauge that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Like they're so knowledgeable about like the nutritional aspects of stuff. I believe when they do like cleanses, they sit down with a client, and really it's just them talking about their lifestyle, and then they build one based off that. But going into like her place or something like that, they're not over the top, you know, they're so welcoming. Like that's a huge aspect that I think is not always there for a lot of juice bars, you know, like just that welcoming atmosphere,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Her place is called Balance B, right?
The balance be, yeah.
Where is that?
Peoria, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
They have a couple locations out there, I believe.
Someone else who I think is doing a really good job with that is my new friend Chris Good. He was at
Oh yeah,
JuiceCon.
yeah,
Yeah, Chris is
yeah.
awesome. I've had a couple conversations with him since JuiceCon, and they're in Kansas City. His company's called Ruby Jeans Juicery, named after his grandmother.
I believe so.
Yeah,
I remember he's got that shirt with the
with her face on it.
yeah.
That's their logo, is her
That's
face.
awesome.
Yeah. So it's basically about, someone in his family passed away in early death, and it could have been prevented with nutrition.
Yeah.
And he's in Kansas City, in an area where nutrition is not a priority.
Mhm.
And so he's really trying to make it approachable. If you look at their like marketing photos and stuff, everyone's smiling, there's kids drinking juice, and it's really very like approachable and not so intimidating with just a bunch of, fit girls doing yoga on the beach.
I think that's like yeah, I remember talking to him for really briefly at JuiceCon, you know, and you could tell he was just really passionate about it, you know. But I mean, that's the biggest challenge too, is like eating organic shouldn't be that expensive, but it is, you know.
Mhm.
It's that's why, you know, there's that big rift between people that are like, oh, I like raw juice, I don't like pasteurized juice, I don't like HPP juice.
Mhm.
But I think like there's room for everything,
Yeah.
you know, like there's so many different regions, even low income regions, where they wouldn't be able to have juice at all if it wasn't for like HPP product, you know. And that drinking that stuff is way better than a soda, you know.
Yeah. And also about it being expensive, I think a lot of it is just priorities. Like I do know that there are some people that can't afford an $8 juice. I get that. But there's a lot of people that say it's too expensive just because they want to spend their money on something else.
Yeah.
And I think in reality it does cost a lot of money to make a bottle of juice.
Hmm.
And if you want to buy it from a business and you want to make it yourself, you're going to be paying double or triple what it costs to make it at home.
Yeah, that's true.
Um but I think if some people were to acknowledge the fact that their health is probably more important than some of the other things they spend money on, they might be able to.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize like, hey, it's the stuff is out there to try and make you feel better.
Mm.
You know, it's people growing up not having that stuff. So
There's also a lot of skepticism, you know, especially now with everyone kind of attacking sugar in juice,
mhm.
saying that natural sugar is the same as like added sugar, which I think is complete crap. But
Yeah.
um, but a lot of people look for a reason to not believe, that juice is good for you. But I think if you drink, I don't know, replace 2 meals a day with juice for like 3 days, you just feel amazing.
Yeah, you'll feel completely different.
Yeah. Like even after one day, you start to get that kind of head buzz from the fruit and vegetables. You feel lighter. You have an elevated mood.
Mhm.
It's like my friend Mammy in Tokyo.
Yeah.
She named her business Sky High Juice. And I
Mhm.
asked her why. She said because when she decided to go raw vegan, she just felt like she was in the clouds.
Yeah.
So that's why she called it Sky High Juice.
Yeah, it's tough, but I mean, just go out and try and juice, you know, a couple different kinds, you know, a fresh cold pressed juice. It's completely different.
Yeah, totally different. And I think it's also a little intimidating if you juice cleansing and 3-day cleanses and all this stuff. It's like, look, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Just, replace some food with juice and you'll just feel a lot better.
Yeah. Try it and see how you feel.
It's pretty easy. I mean, for me, like replacing breakfast and lunch with juice and then eating around 5 or 6 p.m., just eating like a meal,
Yeah.
to me is pretty easy. And by replacing meals with juice, you're eliminating a lot of crap from your diet.
Yeah.
Like whatever else you normally eat. It's probably loaded with salt and carbs and all this other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that I don't like that stuff. Like I'll eat anything, but
Moderation.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think? Is any kind of final thoughts about what you've seen in the juicing industry and what you think we're going to see more of in the next couple of years?
I think that in general, I mean, it's still pretty young industry compared to everything else. I kind of look at juice as a portion of like the health movement. People more conscientious about that. I definitely see creativity in the juices. I think is a huge opportunity to progress even further. I see a lot of stuff, and it makes sense. A lot of people new to the industry, they kind of replicate from other operations, but I definitely see a lot of, I guess, technique in producing the juice, creative ways to utilizing the produce is huge. I think that's going to progress quite a bit. New applications, even purveyors doing like value added products. A lot of the, instead of just composting some of the scraps, it could actually work for juices. But uh, I think the flavors are definitely going to improve quite a bit, in general, and a lot of more creative ways I think will be coming up. You know,
Okay, juice went through this change like over the last couple decades. It went from being this thing that only these super health conscious
Mhm.
vegans were doing, or like cancer patients,
Yeah,
and then it went mainstream. It got super like high end and trendy and fashionable.
hmm
And now I think it's kind of settling out, becoming more kind of everyday consumption. You see more mom and
yeah,
pop shops popping up all over the place. Juice is available more places, becoming more approachable, like we talked about.
hmm yeah. It seems like it withstand the trend kind
Yes,
of.
totally.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, it's more. It definitely. I feel it's settled down, and it's just overall aspect of living healthier.
Hmm.
A little more conscientious, and
Yeah, and I think as long as people continue to become more health conscious
Mhm.
and healthcare costs remain as high as they are, and there's more education out there about how nutritional plays in health, I think juice is really only going to become bigger and stronger.
Yeah, and it's awesome to see it being done globally.
Yeah.
You could see it progress through like I remember working at Good Nature. I mean, you get a bunch of calls in certain regions because it's becoming really popular. And last couple of first one I started there like 3 years ago, it was Australia was huge,
Hmm.
and India was really popular, and then Middle East is pretty crazy right now too. So
Yeah, Middle East has really been picking up.
yeah,
We're getting a lot of interest over there. I think places like Saudi Arabia where you can't drink alcohol, it's illegal, right?
yeah,
So it seems like that would be a good market for juice.
hmm
So you got to drink something.
yeah. They're really big on a detox too,
Yeah.
Mhm. Like cleansing the body with.
Are they? What do they use?
I've just got a lot of requests for a big focus on like detox during
Mm,
I believe during their uh, religious months. It's good to like cleanse the body and start fresh. So a lot of
interesting.
them like kind of like cleanse packages to start there, kind of like what we do for like New Year's,
Right.
stuff like that. So
Hmm. It's funny if you look at search terms
mhm.
trends on Google, it always like all the health related stuff like juice cleansing, gym memberships, workout programs, all that stuff around this time
Blows up.
completely no drops off
I,
until New Year's Day, and then it goes shoo, just
I
skyrockets
wait till then.
because everyone's doing New Year's resolutions and stuff.
Yeah,
Like it's just crazy.
yeah,
It's just like this straight cliff line going up, you know? for New Year's, and then it goes all the way down, all the way to the end of the year, and then it shoots back up again.
Yeah, I'm really makes sense because I'm a big fan of Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah, you do a pretty crazy Thanksgiving party, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, being in the restaurant industry, you never get holidays off. So it all started about like 10 years ago. A bunch of my chef friends, we'd all get together at a place either a week before or a week after Thanksgiving. And we just have a big party, like a big potluck thing, and do a big Thanksgiving feast. And it just keeps growing every year. So
You and a bunch of chefs, huh?
yeah,
All cooking a feast. It sounds awesome.
yeah, it's really
Cool. Well, I think we can wrap it up. Thanks for having me over.
awesome. Thanks for
This is cool, man. First episode of the podcast.
yeah.
So how can people, if people want like juice consulting or advice, how can they get a hold of you?
They could reach me on the Good Nature website. Just click on the consulting tab. My email's over there.
So goodnature.com,
Mm-hmm.
click on consulting, which is listed under resources.
Yeah.
Contact you that way. And then your book is called The Juicing Companion, which is for sale on goodnature.com.
Yeah, correct.
Also under the resources tab.
Mm-hmm. Free shipping in U.S.
Free shipping in U.S. We've got the new Good Nature community online forums.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It just went up last week.
Mm-hmm.
That's community.goodnature.com. If you want to ask Ari any questions, he's on there. Can answer your questions there. I might jump in and answer a couple. We're really trying to get that online community growing. Just get as many knowledgeable juicing people on there as possible, so we can have some really good conversations.
Yeah, collaboration is huge, moving the industry forward. So
yeah, that's what I'm focused on now, is just trying to put more people in touch with each other.
yeah,
I think that's going to be kind of my main driving focus over the next couple of years.
yeah.
Just really getting people to work together.
Seems like everyone's pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, the response at JuiceCon was incredible.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
The positivity there blew my mind.
Mm-hmm. I thought we're really going to have to kind of introduce people all day to kind of force collaboration, but I mean, it really just took off right from the beginning. I mean, people waiting in lines to get in, they're all introducing each other and talking about
posting on Instagram stories with each other, and
that's huge.
It was awesome. I felt really lucky to be a part of it.
Yeah, me too.
Even if I wasn't hosting it, just being like an attendee there, I just felt so fortunate being around all those awesome people.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big thing to take on, is starting a convention, but
oh man, that was so crazy.
Yeah, but the attitudes of everyone that went was pretty awesome. So
yeah, I'm excited for next year.
Start of something big.
Yeah, let's hope. All right, Ari. Thanks, buddy.
All right, thanks.